Hello there, WWE Universe. I'm the mastermind of the WWE, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and I'm here to announce to you, WWE Universe and British Fist Universe, that later on in the review, I'm going to have a special announcement as to regards the WWE ratings lately. So stay tuned for later on in this review. Thank you.
Well, who would have thought it, NJ? Vince McMahon himself is going to give a State of the WWE address on our channel. That's going to do great for ratings this week, isn't it?
That's the thing, because out of all the YWC members that are out there, there's so many great ones.
Oh, yeah.
He chose to be a part of our video to talk to the WWE fans.
And we are very honoured, and we are very honoured to be reviewing this Monday Night Raw, of course, from, I believe it was from Sacramento this week. We are the British Fist, by the way.
Gotcha.
Mr. Parkin here. NJ here.
Live in Sacramento. What's up?
I don't know whether we were actually from Sacramento, I can't really remember. Subscribe above, like this video, and comment your thoughts on this Raw down in the comment section below.
And make sure you contact us in the link in the description box below.
So if we weren't from Sacramento today, that is going to be like the worst way to start off a Raw review ever. But yeah, so after that rating...
It's not SmackDown.
No, it was on a Monday night. That's usually Raw night for us, isn't it? Unless you've got amnesia or something like good old Vincent Kennedy McMahon might have.
Who?
Vincent Kennedy McMahon. The owner. The guy we just had on the bloody intro.
That's him.
Anyway, so yeah, so this was Monday Night Raw. After the ratings plummet of last week, 2.5, you really expected WWE, with the announcement that Vince McMahon was going to be on the show, to really try and show that they could actually put on a decent Raw this week. And first of all, some news. We had Brian Gerwitz was removed as the Senior Vice President of Creative Writing. Thank you. Thank God for that.
Am I meant to be excited about this? You just removed one of your useless writers, but in the eyes of Vince McMahon, he's done the right thing for business. We'll see next week.
Yeah, and we had JR Cole and JBL on commentary this week. That was kind of... JBL was on fire today.
Every time I see JBL on commentary, I always see what they do with other ex-wrestlers who are on commentary. Eventually, he's going to come out of his chair, go into the ring, clothesline from hell someone. Hopefully he'll do that to probably a face mid-card champion to give them a big pushover. But right now, I'm just enjoying his commentary because heels on commentary do pretty good stuff.
After just climbing a mountain, I doubt he'll be getting in the ring. But anyway, so we started off the show this week. You can tell Vince McMahon was pulling out all the stops this week. He started off the show with John Cena. Now, John Cena pretty much comes out dissing everyone, making not much sense. But to me, it seemed like Vince McMahon put him out there as like a... clearly just to try and get the crowd going for the show. That's kind of how it seemed to me.
Well, it might get the crowd going, but the thing is, that did not feel like a John Cena. Yeah, he made some stupid jokes, which you do represent stupid jokes with John Cena, but he, in a way, buried our champions. He spoke about the tag team. He spoke about Cesaro. Instead of complimenting them to how great they are doing the job, he weren't very positive when he was speaking about them, which I just thought, well, this is not like Cena. But then obviously he went on to the important thing, which was Punk and the match at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, so this really didn't... I mean, this was definitely a far cry from the usual sort of 15, 20-minute opening promo segments like we had last week. So John Cena coming out there for 8 minutes, he didn't really make too much sense. And like you said, he did diss a few people. But it seemed like he was there to just really get the crowd going. And then we go right from that opening segment to a Ryback match. Ryback facing Epico and Primo in a 2-on-1 handicap match.
This match, I guess it's better than being a local wrestler that they fed to Barrett, or they'd make it just like one single wrestler when we know Ryback can fight more than one. But again, at this moment in time, it looks like Ryback's not actually getting anything that's going to give him direction. So in this match, I just thought a typical Ryback match.
It was a typical Ryback match, but I will say this. You just had an 8-minute promo segment with John Cena, then you go straight into a Ryback match. It was a very good change of pace, in my opinion, from WWE, and it really started off quite strongly and quite at a fast pace, which is something that WWE has lacked over the last couple of weeks with these long-ass, boring promos. So for me, personally, I know it was a typical Ryback match, it was a typical John Cena segment, but it was a nice, different way to open the show. You go straight from John Cena in the promo, straight to a Ryback match, and you get all that done in the first 15 minutes rather than one long, boring promo segment, which you usually get on Raw.
Well, it was still boring, I'll give it that.
I wouldn't call it boring. I thought it was fine. And Ryback is over as hell now, isn't he? Those Phoebe Moore chants are really getting over pretty big.
Are they?
Yes. Did you not hear the fucking crowd?
Not really.
Okay, well then you're quite clearly deaf. Then you have Brodus Clay come into the ring in what felt like quite an awkward segment. You get R-Truth coming in saying little Jimmy is going through puberty. They kind of dance, and Vince McMahon comes on the time drum saying his address is next. This just felt like a very awkward segment, really.
This segment, I was going to give it a compliment to, but then Brodus Clay couldn't take off his hat, so he couldn't take off his trousers. Now he can't take off his hat. Brodus Clay, you're really screwing things up for yourself here. And when you saw R-Truth come out, I thought, okay, R-Truth weren't picked to wrestle, they picked to dance. I thought R-Truth's a great dancer, and Brodus Clay, who's trying to be a good dancer, could be an entertaining segment, but it was all about little Jimmy, and this just didn't make sense. So I'm glad Vince McMahon stepped in. I was hoping Vince McMahon was going to make numerous appearances throughout the night for little segments that weren't drawing in ratings or pretty stupid segments. Like this one was a first glimpse of it, but I'm glad it didn't happen.
Okay, after the break, we then go straight into the Vince McMahon State of WWE address. Were you surprised that this wasn't in a more important part of the show, like maybe opening the show off, the hour main event, possibly even the main event? Were you really surprised that Vince McMahon's speech was like pretty much 20 to 2 for us in the morning?
The money was on him being the opening guy that would have kicked off the rest of the show, probably numerous parts throughout the show and the main event. So for him to be a bit delayed or minutes later, it didn't feel right. It felt like you got Vince McMahon, the key part of this show. Even though it weren't hyped up last week, it was hyped up through the internet. I would have given him a better spot than this.
Yeah, I mean, it did kind of seem like it was kind of rewritten at the last minute, like, oh, we're going to have this segment, now Vince McMahon is going to come on. I'm not really sure what happened there, but we go right into this segment. You have Vince McMahon coming out talking about how WWE is all about action and entertainment, and yeah, I was kind of like, no, it's not, Vince. Sort of.
Vince McMahon on mic, I did enjoy this. I just thought this is what we want to see, because normally when Vince is on mic, great things happen. But the only problem I have with this, even though it led to something quite strong, Punk came out a bit too soon, I thought.
I'm not sure what Vince McMahon was really there for. I mean, a lot of people were expecting him to give this State of the WWE address, and Punk did come out quite quickly before they could do the address, but the actual interaction between Punk and Vince McMahon, as we expected, was very good. I really do like how CM Punk is working the crowd as a heel. You don't really see too many heels, like, you know, going towards the crowd and pretty much calling them assholes straight to their face. So I did like the way CM Punk was trying to draw heel heat here, and he also told Mr. McMahon that he was the best thing he had right now and threatens to quit WWE again. McMahon even name-dropped Stone Cold Steve Austin in there, saying that CM Punk is nowhere near Stone Cold. Do you think they may be teasing that match maybe for WrestleMania 29 or 30 based on this?
Well, the 2 points about this is that, yes, Vince McMahon was almost burying or putting down. We've had Eve, we've had John Cena, we've had other people putting Punk down. You didn't really need your own boss putting you down a few notches. Even though Punk's mic work skills were great, which kept him high, Vince was calling names and just saying how bad he is. But he did comment on his title run. But I think this whole Austin thing, it's a bit stupid. They start hyping it now, but it's not going to be done for another year. So I'm expecting maybe we're going to have Cena and Rock, and probably, hopefully, Punk and Austin.
Well, as much as Vince McMahon was giving it out, CM Punk was definitely returning it. So I'm not gonna moan too much about the fact that Vince was putting CM Punk down, because CM Punk was sure as hell putting Vince down a lot in this segment. I'll say that, and that was good. It kind of felt real, really, when CM Punk said, you know, oh, you've been keeping me down for years, Vince, and that there is some element of truth to that. And you get to the crux of the segment where Mr. McMahon says that pretty much he wants to face CM Punk to try and teach him some respect.
Normally when you go up against Vince McMahon, you are expected good matches, as we've seen in our past reviews we've been doing for you guys. So I was expecting, even though this was quite out the random and old man wrestling, I was expecting big things to come from it.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I think it got a lot of people talking. I mean, it's the kind of thing, you know, you never know really what's going to happen on WWE TV. And who'd have thought that Vince McMahon would be facing CM Punk in 2012? So I guess it's kind of like that. They're trying to go for that unpredictable kind of thing. And Vince McMahon versus CM Punk in the main event, I must admit, I was somewhat interested by that, despite the fact that, you know, you kind of knew what you were going to be getting from those two.
The way these two talk to each other, many people were representing this and Vince and Austin. There was similarities in this. But I think the reason they're doing this is so it helps to tease the whole Austin and Punk match possibly down the line.
And essentially, when Raw is just on a 2.5, this kind of thing is the kind of thing that could possibly draw in some ratings as well. So it's a nice sort of it's a nice main event to give the fans, I guess. And really, a pretty nice segment, really, I thought. The interaction between the two was pretty good. Almost felt like the opener, really, of Raw, didn't it?
As much as I did like this, I'm going to give you a bit of a spoiler for the story review. Vince McMahon didn't actually do what he actually came onto the show to do, because his mind was now focused on Punk. So this whole possibly firing AJ, or this whole sorting out every part of Raw that isn't good, isn't entertaining, he doesn't get to do it this time round, which I thought was a bit disappointing. And as we go on to the show, he does more than what we said.
Yeah, I mean, the whole not addressing the WWE thing did kind of throw us off a little bit, but, you know, you're trying to go for this element of unpredictability, I understand that. You then go straight into the tag team tournament semi-final match, Primetime Players versus Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio. You kind of expected Rey and Sin Cara to get the victory here, really, and in all honesty, you know, you got two kind of legit tag teams facing each other, Primetime Players. Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio now are kind of like a tag team. They've got the right gear and everything. So, and I hope that these two do have a match at Hell in a Cell with the way they've been kind of working that feud.
Well, with this, again, I'm going to agree with Tony NJ that this Primetime Players, it looks like the WWE are not as high on them as they should be, because this is yet another tag team title kind of movement they've not been able to successfully do. So it's like, yes, they may be here to put over Rey and Sin Cara, who are already quite high they are. So this feud is a feud, but it's not really going to do much apart from give Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara another win. With the Primetime Players, I'm going to be honest, I don't really care about them anymore.
And with Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio, I think definitely the right decision for these guys to go to the final. You're trying to expand that Sin Cara, Rey Mysterio storyline going into WrestleMania possibly. So Rey and Sin Cara being put over as much as possible by the Primetime Players, I mean, it's essentially leading to a bigger storyline down the road. So that's probably why they're doing that. And that was essentially the first hour of Raw. And to be honest with you, to me personally, it seemed like WWE were much more urgent than most other Raws. I mean, you had Cena, you had Ryback, Vince McMahon, CM Punk, a nice tag team match. It seemed like to me, WWE got out the blocks a lot better than usual this week. And there was a lot more urgency surrounding the show this week, which came from that 2.5 rating, obviously.
Well, so far with what we've got, it was pretty good Raw, giving us stuff that interested us, gave us direction. Even the next match, I'm going to give this a thumbs up to for the match itself, not the aftermatch. So far, Raw has been pretty strongly done, and I've had no complaints with Raw so far.
And in our main event of the evening, we had Sheamus versus Wade Barrett. Now, I could complain about this being a potential pay-per-view match, but you got to think that WWE have just come off a really terrible rating, and they wanted to put something out there that could possibly draw a rating in our main event, and they gave us Sheamus versus Wade Barrett, which you know, Battle of the British, I guess, or sorry, Ireland versus England, and for 12.5 minutes, this is a pretty damn good match.
Well, two things I want to say about this. Number one, with SmackDown not really giving us strong matches, I saw a SmackDown main event here, which could have been a big draw. If they announced it on Raw that it was going to happen on SmackDown, it could be an interesting match for SmackDown, even though Raw obviously needed the ratings going up. The other thing about this is he's gone from fighting jobbers and local wrestlers up to Sheamus with a big, massive jump. So I'm hoping now it's not just a one-off match. I'm hoping they're going to use this match to keep Wade Barrett up into the right area.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I do hope they do that with Wade. I'm not sure whether this is just a temporary spot for Wade or whether he will go back to defeating local jobbers or whatever. I'm not really sure. But during this match, you get Big Show coming out straight away to sit at ringside. And like I said, these two had a pretty good match. You get Tensai coming out to attack Sheamus with Barrett, which made sense after the Sheamus bro kick Tensai on SmackDown. You have Sheamus fighting off Tensai and Barrett, which I didn't like too much. And then you had Big Show throwing Sheamus out the ring. So I guess you could say they tried to make Sheamus look strong while also making Big Show look strong. You know, depends how you look at it, really.
Well, the way I'm going to look at this, they gave us a good, solid match, which you would expect from Sheamus and Wade Barrett, who should be in the main event scene. So I agree with the match. Tensai coming down, okay, at least the match didn't end clean for Sheamus. I give that credit for. But when it came to Big Show taking advantage of a distracted Sheamus, instead of doing a knockout punch, the WWE booked it just to lob him out the ring. So in a way, yes, Big Show got a move on Sheamus, but the WWE is still protecting Sheamus from not getting knocked out or beaten by the Big Show in a move.
And it's the whole argument, really. It's like, are you trying to overprotect Sheamus, or are you trying to make these two not touch? So when they do face off at a pay-per-view, it does feel more special. I guess you could say it's a mixture of the two. We know they like to protect Sheamus, but this is a first-time match. You don't want them to touch too much, really, in the ring beforehand.
Well, that's the thing. I'm going to totally disagree with that. I think we should have Big Show looking strong over Sheamus, make the heel look good. So, as we've said many times, the heels need to be booked stronger so the faces have a challenge to go up against. So I think Big Show should have knocked out Sheamus, made Big Show look like a threat to Sheamus, not like, oh, we're not going to touch each other, so we don't know who's stronger or who's going to be the challenge for who. So in my opinion, I expected the knockout punch to go ahead than just a lob out the ring.
I will say that I do see what you're talking about, but a lot of the best matches we've seen of all time, like Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, etc., were done because the guys didn't really touch each other and it felt a lot more special. But I do see where you're coming from, but I'm trying to look at it in another sense of the word. And you do know what we got next, don't you, NJ? We got Vince McMahon on the British Fish channel giving his State of the WWE address. I'm looking forward to this one.
Let's go, Vince!
Now, as many of you know, my flagship show, Raw, did a 2.5 rating last week. Now, there are some people out there calling for my head, saying that I'm too old for this. I'm too senile for this. I can't come up with creative ideas anymore. But the thing is, Vince McMahon will never stop coming up with creative ideas. The reason why we got a 2.5 rating is nothing to do with the quality of the product. It's mainly to do with American football. American football has been getting great ratings and has been taking all the viewership away from Monday Night Raw. Not just that, but the fact we got the internet fans, such as you guys out there, bashing our product all the time, saying, ooh, we don't want John Cena anymore. Well, I know exactly what you guys want, so don't you complain to me when I push a guy like Ryback. Thirdly and finally, John Cena wasn't on the show. Unfortunately, John Cena is the only guy you're gonna get shoved up your throat. So fortunately enough, when he's not there, we do great ratings. We did a 2.5 rating. And to all of you guys out there that have said, oh, this 2.5 rating is bad, you wait till after Hell in a Cell with the ideas I've got. Remember, you guys, anything can happen in the WWE.
Wow, some pretty shocking stuff there by Vince McMahon. He's a bastard, isn't he?
Well, we always know Vince McMahon is really good on the mic, and I'm glad he's able to show how great he is in our review.
And he hates the internet as well. Does that mean he hates the British Fist? So why the hell did he appear on our show then? I don't know. Whatever. So we get after that we get Antonio Cesaro versus Tyson Kidd. I must admit, I did enjoy the segment where they had Antonio Cesaro making fun of American food, because it's kind of sometimes how I feel about American food as a British man, even though I eat junk food all the time. No, okay, fair enough. Cesaro wins in 4 minutes with the uppercut and the neutralizer. It was a decent match for the time they got given, but it's just a shame that they're still not really giving Cesaro a US title feud, really, which he kind of needs.
The thing about this match is that I do agree with the length, because in this match, Tyson Kidd did put on a great performance against Antonio Cesaro, so I give Tyson Kidd the credit for this, and I'm hoping that Tyson Kidd does stay as a appearance wrestler that will go on, actually looking like he could go somewhere. But obviously their main concentration is Cesaro.
And so it should be, really. I mean, Cesaro has a lot more to offer the company than a Tyson Kidd. I just really wish that Cesaro would be in some kind of feud right now. We got Team Hell No versus Del Rio and Dolph Ziggler next. This was an hour. The second hour was pretty much full of wrestling. We had pretty much no wrestling in the first hour, but they made up for it in the second hour by giving us the Way Back Sheamus match. This match got about 16 minutes plus commercials. I mean, it went on quite long, but it was still a pretty decent match. I mean, all four of these people can work in the ring. Daniel Bryan and Kane can work as heels or baby faces, and they were working the babyface role or tweener role in this match.
With this, I do think it went on a bit too long for a tag team match that consists of two ex-main events, shall we say, for this temporary tag team basis, and two main eventers at the time. But the match we did got was a quality match. I enjoyed it. The heels look quite strong, which they need to, because number one, the two heels who need to look strong haven't looked strong in quite a while, apart from in a match where they get okay booking, not good wins. And the tag champs, this is another match where they're going to get main eventers, so it's making your tag champs look quite strong there.
And while the tournament is going on, you do need to give them something to do until you decide who the number one contenders actually are. So this was a nice way of doing it. Kane got the win with a chokeslam on Ziggler. Do you think, and this is a little theory I have, Ziggler doesn't really have a feud at the moment, does he? So do you think this is the time when WWE are going to make him cash in Money in the Bank at Hell in a Cell? Because he's not in a feud.
I think, because obviously with Survivor Series, it's not going to be that easy to cash in. They can still do it, but Hell in a Cell being hopefully a non-brutal pay-per-view, I think he could take the advantage of a non-brutalised Sheamus and capture his belt, yes.
Yeah, and Del Rio Orton feud really is happening on SmackDown. We get the news that Orton is going to be back on SmackDown this week.
Well, we have
secondary SmackDown feud, I guess.
Well, we have Orton probably going against Del Rio, and that could be a feud to go. Because obviously, I don't see Orton putting over Del Rio, but if it happens, good for Orton. But we also have Orton and Big Show on Wednesday, that main event thing. So that's a match to get him warmed up, ready for SmackDown. So I'll say this could be a good way to go. It just depends on how the WWE book it.
And just for people out there that have been questioning us this, we're not going to be reviewing WWE main event. We really don't really care about it too much, to be honest with you.
Even though they've given us quite strong main event matches, it's not something that is going to be
sustainable, really,
directional, apart from they do have like the tag matches on there, but we're sticking to Raw, SmackDown, TNA.
It's going to be like Superstars. It's not going to be very sustainable. All these main events are eventually going to be replaced with jobbers, so I'm not really interested in main event right now. We've got the Larry King and Miz segment. I'm surprised with Larry King. I've never personally heard of Larry King, but I've heard that he's a bit of a celebrity in the US. I wondered why this just came out of nowhere, why this really didn't get any hype like it should have done. If you have Larry King on the show in the second hour main event slot, kind of.
Like, normally when they did like the guest host, they would get pre-announced a week before. So for a big segment like this, holding Miz, a great talker, you have the Intercontinental Champion and a special guest. 3 big things in one segment. This could have been announced last week, or even on SmackDown, just something that got this warmed up. Because the segment was actually pretty strongly done, gave us direction, and gave Miz not the best mic work I've seen him do, but it still helped what was coming.
It was a little bit more edgy by Miz, talking about Larry King's 8 wives and everything like that. It was a little bit more edgy, and you get Larry King. And it's Miz's birthday as well, guys, so wish Miz happy birthday like the crowd didn't. Larry King introduces Kofi Kingston as his guest, and I guess this really sets up Miz's new IC title feud. And then you get Larry King's wife throwing water in Miz's face, then Kofi attacks Miz, and usually that's a heel thing to do, but Kofi Kingston is the kind of guy who has been rumoured that he's going to be getting a push. So I say, just because there are no real other baby faces around right now that are in the mid-card, because they're all in the tag team title scene, Kofi and Miz sounds like a pretty decent, not good, but a decent IC title feud to me.
Well, early in the night, we had R-Truth going off doing something on his own, his dancing thing, little Jimmy thing. So we had Kofi doing nothing, so I'm glad they got Kofi on the show. Yes, you could say, why is he possibly going against The Miz out of nowhere? But I think with this segment, it helped to kick it off, because it was meant to be just a big talking segment, big mic time. But Miz and Kofi ended up fighting, which does represent that they're going to have a feud for the IC belt. Would it be Kofi putting over Miz, or Miz giving the belt to Kofi? Either way, it's going to be a good feud, which we know because Kofi's good in the mid-card titles.
And I guess my problem really is, and this is my only issue with this, Kofi Kingston, whether he wins the title or not, is destined to be stuck in mid-card hell. So him winning the belt here probably wouldn't make too much sense, really, even though he is apparently on a singles push. We then get to our tag team tournament semi-final match, the other one that we got, Ryder and Santino versus Rhodes Scholars. The Rhodes Scholars won this pretty quickly in about 3 minutes, as they should have, really, with their massively combined IQ. You kind of had to feel they would definitely outsmart those useless people.
And that's the thing. The match went on a pretty good length for 2 great possible going to be main eventers versus 2 mid-card wrestlers. And this tag team, they've got their own Titantron videos, so you can see that they're probably going to go somewhere for a while Ryder and Santino are going to be temporary. This match was quick, easy, done, and we've now got our main event match coming up.
Oh, yeah, and the thing is with the Rhodes Scholars, you can see that Triple H's influence is there in the sense that he's made them, he's given them a Titantron, he makes them come out together. Triple H's work in the tag team division has been pretty good over this last month or two, really. I mean, the whole anger management thing, the way they worked that in there, then some of these tag teams they made, Rey and Sin Cara, you know, the primetime players, you know, all these tag teams now. We've got 8 kind of tag teams there, and it's good. It's good to have a tag team division.
It is indeed.
Eve Torres versus Caitlyn for the Divas Championship was next, with Layla on commentary. This kind of came out of nowhere. This is another match which they maybe should have hyped do a little bit of hype for, because this was supposed. I mean, Caitlyn just come back from the injury. This was supposed to be her payoff, really, wasn't it? Facing Eve Torres, the person who supposedly may have injured her. I just thought they might want to put a little bit more hype to
this. This could have quite easily been the Hell in a Cell match, but with Layla hovering about, it looks like it's going to be Layla and Eve at the pay-per-view. This I really don't care about. Caitlyn, yes, it's a different diva fight for the title, but I just don't have much interest in the divas anymore.
If you want to analyze this match, I mean, Eve goes after the injured ankle and makes Eve makes Caitlyn submit to an ankle submission, so that kind of makes sense. You had Eve holding on to the hold afterwards. Layla coming in to protect Caitlyn, which is kind of setting up Eve versus Layla at the pay-per-view. I mean, it's going to have to do a lot more than that to really make me care about the Divas division, but it's a start, I guess. I mean, Eve versus Layla should be a decent match at the pay-per-view. Main event of the evening, Punk versus Vince McMahon. You know, this is one of those main events, really, that I think it's hard for us to judge it now. It will be a lot easier for us to judge it when the ratings come out, because this is essentially a ratings draw for me. If the ratings are good, it achieved it. If the ratings are bad, this didn't achieve it. But let's analyze this segment anyway. Punk versus Vince McMahon. You had Punk attacking Vince McMahon on the ramp. They made Punk look very strong until they booked Vince McMahon to pretty much beat up the WWE champion.
Throughout the night, we were expecting Punk to get a big push from Vince McMahon, which I think with this match and Heyman trying to pull Punk away from it, really making this match seem like a big deal, and Punk's career could be on the line. Really nicely done. Vince McMahon, he got booked strong eventually, but I think he needed to have his part in it because he was going to teach Punk a lesson. So overall, this main event, I thought it went down pretty well. Nicely done weapon usage. Vince McMahon going frustrated, but obviously Punk going back to be the cowardly heel by the end is not working for me.
I mean, people will say, oh, they booked Vince McMahon to look strong, and, you know, you've got to allow Vince to get some of his hope spots in there, and he was out there to try and teach him some respect. Now, some may have a problem with booking an old man like Vince McMahon quite strong against CM Punk, but like you said, I mean, it's all about, I mean, I must admit, why can't WWE book Punk as a legit heel? Why do they have to book him as a cowardly heel? Why does every damn heel in WWE have to be a cowardly one? Why can't CM Punk be booked like a strong heel, like, for example, a Triple H was back in the day?
Vince McMahon had his creative idea by the end of the match, keeping the belt away, not letting Punk have the belt as he ran away. Really teased the ending of this match going pretty well. It's just that I don't really agree with Punk being a great talk on the mic, a great possible main eventer. I think the thing that's holding him back is not his feud, it's not his push, it's the fact that he's not booked as strong as he could be. He was booked full force heel. I think things could be better for him.
No, I mean, you could say that about a lot of people. Ziggler, Del Rio, Daniel Bryan. I mean, when he was heel. You could say that about a lot of heels, really. And it's just typical cookie cutter cowardly heel 101, isn't it, really? You then get towards the end of the match, you get Punk. Well, it wasn't really a match, was it? It just kind of, the bell never really went. Punk is about to GTS Vince McMahon, and then Ryback's music hits. So Vince's boy actually comes out to save his ass. Punk retrieves to the outside. Cena then feeds Punk to Ryback, and then Punk escapes over the rail. Vince McMahon announces Punk will either face Ryback or Cena, and he'll have to decide by next week. I did like the addition of Ryback and John Cena and having to pick. I mean, it created not a great hook, but a decent hook for next week's show.
I really don't agree with Vince McMahon giving Punk the choice. With Vince McMahon wanting revenge, I would have either booked the right match by saying, let's say, next week you have to face Ryback at Hell in a Cell, you're facing Cena, the match you've been trying to get out of. I would have done that. So Vince McMahon's booking the matches, getting his revenge on Punk. It could still happen, but it's just that Vince McMahon giving Punk the choices, I don't think was strong enough.
Well, they needed some kind of hook for next week, really, and like I said, it wasn't a good one, but it was a decent hook. I mean, essentially, if you look at it, you either have the top baby facing John Cena facing CM Punk, or you have Ryback, who is essentially an undefeated monster facing CM Punk. So either way, he's going to face someone, you know, that's pretty much at the top of the food chain right now. So that's the way I look at it. This main event, I mean, it really does depend on the rating it gets. I mean, this was there to draw ratings, essentially, wasn't it? And you can't blame WWE for at least trying something different like Vince McMahon in a match, because they desperately needed to overturn that 2.5 rating from last week.
Even though I don't agree that Vince McMahon didn't get his job done, hopefully he'll come back again like he hinted next week. But I really want him to do more for the WWE because this, I don't want it to be like a one-off saved rating show. I want it to be progressive. So I'm hoping Vince McMahon will come back again. But the main event, I'm gonna say I enjoyed.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it too. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Austin, a sort of third-rate version of Austin and Vince, really. Of Vince being an older man and CM Punk being nowhere near the level of Austin, I guess. So, overall thoughts on Raw this week, then?
It weren't boring, I say. It was pretty strongly paced match. We got matches that I thought were worthy of this. Some I'd say pay-per-view worthy, or could be saved for SmackDown, but we've got a lot from this show to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, they really needed to upturn the rating from last week, the 2.5, worst rating since 1997 in 15 years. So they needed a sense of urgency about the show, and I think this show did have a sense of urgency. You started it off with John Cena, Ryback, CM Punk, Vince McMahon, the tag team tournament, and then you had even though the hour wasn't filled with wrestling, you had the second hour which was filled with wrestling. So that satisfies people like us, the IWC smarks, who do enjoy their wrestling. Then you had Punk and Vince in the main event, which you could argue would draw ratings or not. So really, for me, it was a good show. I mean, you could tell Vince McMahon was really, really trying to get the most out of his roster with the fact that this Raw was actually pretty decent in my opinion, and they did need this kind of Raw. You could leave your thoughts on Raw down in the comment section below as usual. I'm going to hand you over now to NJ for a quick little outro.
All I'll say is thank you very much for bearing with us through this whole Raw review. Yes, we could have done it shorter, but the fact is we've started to realise that the shows are not that good, and this show was offering us a lot more than what the past weeks have. So please reply to each part we've mentioned in the comment section below. And from Mr. Parkin, me NJ, Terminator NJ, and Vince McMahon, till next time YouTubers, goodbye. What? Not PG enough for you, WWE?